What if I told you that one of the biggest companies in the world, a company that millions of us rely on every single day for shopping, streaming, and even groceries, just agreed to pay a massive $2.5 billion settlement because regulators say it tricked its own customers? That's right, Amazon, the e-commerce giant that built its empire on the promise of convenience, affordability, and customer obsession, is now facing one of the largest settlements in Federal Trade Commission history, all because of how it handled its Prime membership program. And this story isn't just about money. It's about power, trust, and the way giant corporations design the very systems we use every day. Tonight, we're diving deep into exactly what happened, how tens of millions of customers got caught up in it, what the FTC uncovered, and why Amazon ultimately decided to settle. It all begins with a program almost everyone has heard of, Amazon Prime. For years, Prime has been marketed as a way to unlock faster shipping, exclusive deals, streaming video, and countless perks. In fact, for many people, Prime feels almost like a necessity. You pay your fee, you get your 2-day shipping, and life becomes easier. That's the pitch. But according to regulators, the reality was much different for a shocking number of people. The FTC's lawsuit, filed back in 2023, accused Amazon of tricking consumers into enrolling in Prime without their full consent, using what's called dark patterns. These are design tricks in websites and apps that manipulate people into making choices they wouldn't otherwise make, like small print, confusing buttons, or layouts that make the cancellation option nearly invisible. And according to the FTC, Amazon wasn't just accidentally confusing people. The agency argued that the company deliberately engineered its system to make it easy to join Prime but incredibly difficult to cancel. Imagine this, you're buying something on Amazon, maybe just a small item you need quickly, and suddenly a screen pops up that says you can get free shipping if you try Prime. You click, thinking it's just a trial, and before you know it, you've been charged. Later, when you try to cancel, you're led down a maze of pages asking, "Are you sure? What about these benefits? What if you downgrade instead? What if you lose all your perks?" It feels less like a simple cancellation process and more like running through an obstacle course. That, according to the FTC, was by design. When this lawsuit went to trial in Seattle earlier this week, it represented one of the most serious challenges Amazon had faced in recent years. The FTC's chairman, Andrew Ferguson, has been an outspoken critic of the largest tech companies, repeatedly saying that they use their market power to manipulate consumers and crush competition. He has gone after Meta, he has probed artificial intelligence companies, and with Amazon, his target was clear, the company's prized membership program. Subscriptions like Prime brought in more than $44 billion last year alone, and the FTC argued that the reason Prime was so successful wasn't just because of the value it offered, but because millions of people had been nudged into staying subscribed even when they didn't want to. The settlement announced this Thursday stopped the trial just as it was getting underway. Amazon agreed to pay $2.5 billion, a staggering figure, even for a company of its size. Out of that, $1 billion will go toward penalties, and $1.5 billion will be distributed to customers. The math works out to about $51 per person for those who qualify, but not every Prime member will automatically get that money. According to the agreement, only certain customers, those who went through the sign-up process that the FTC found most problematic, or those who barely used Prime's benefits after enrolling, will be automatically eligible. Amazon will also have to notify other customers that they may be able to submit a claim if they feel they were misled into signing up or trapped into staying subscribed when they wanted to leave. Think about that for a moment. $2.5 billion. That's not just pocket change. It's one of the largest consumer protection settlements in history. To put it in perspective, most FTC settlements run in the millions, sometimes the hundreds of millions. This is billions. It shows just how seriously the agency viewed Amazon's conduct, and how much impact this case could have on the way companies design their subscription models going forward. Now, it's important to note that Amazon did not admit any wrongdoing in the settlement. That's a common move in these kinds of cases. By agreeing to pay without admitting fault, the company avoids a formal judgment against it while putting the case behind them. But the message is clear. Amazon would rather pay billions than let a jury hear weeks of testimony about how it allegedly manipulated its own customers. And that decision tells us a lot about the potential risks Amazon was facing if the trial had gone forward. For Amazon, Prime isn't just another service. It's the backbone of its entire business. More than 200 million people in the United States are Prime members. These are Amazon's best customers, the ones who shop most frequently, spend the most money, and rely on Amazon for everything from toothpaste to television shows. Losing trust among this group could be catastrophic. That's why the FTC's lawsuit cut so deeply. It challenged Amazon's identity as the customer-obsessed company, suggesting instead that the company was putting profits ahead of fairness. One of the most striking details in the FTC's complaint was how internal Amazon documents reportedly described the cancellation process. Employees allegedly acknowledged that the system was designed to create friction, to make it as annoying and complicated as possible for someone to leave. And while Amazon has argued that its system was simply meant to make sure customers didn't cancel by mistake, the FTC painted a much darker picture. One where the company deliberately created roadblocks to maximize revenue. The timing of this case also matters. In recent years, there's been growing backlash against subscription traps across industries. Whether it's streaming services, gyms, or online software, countless companies have adopted a model where signing up is effortless, but canceling is a nightmare. Regulators in the US and Europe have started cracking down, insisting that companies must make cancellation just as easy as sign up. The Amazon case could set a precedent for how aggressively regulators go after these practices in the future. So what happens next? Under the agreement, Amazon has 90 days to begin distributing the $51 payments to qualifying customers. That means millions of people could soon receive unexpected cash, although the criteria will limit how many actually qualify. The company will also have to change how it communicates with customers about Prime, ensuring that people know exactly what they're signing up for and that leaving the program is straightforward. For the FTC, this represents a huge win. Chairman Ferguson called it a step toward making consumers whole, a phrase that underscores the agency's broader mission to protect people from corporate overreach. For Amazon, meanwhile, the settlement is a painful but perhaps necessary move to protect its brand. The company has weathered countless controversies before, from labor disputes to antitrust investigations. But this one hit directly at its relationship with customers, and that's a line Amazon cannot afford to cross too many times. Even without admitting wrongdoing, paying $2.5 billion is an acknowledgement that something went wrong, and that trust needs to be repaired. The big question now is whether this will change how Amazon operates in the long run. Will the company truly make it easier to cancel Prime? Will it adjust its sign-up flows to remove confusing or manipulative elements? Or will it quietly look for new ways to maximize subscriptions, hoping regulators won't notice? Only time will tell. What's clear is that the FTC's aggressive stance is reshaping the way tech giants do business. And with more investigations into AI companies, antitrust lawsuits against Meta, and ongoing scrutiny of other Silicon Valley players, Amazon's settlement could just be the beginning of a much broader wave of accountability. For consumers, this case is a reminder to stay vigilant. Whenever you see a free trial, a limited time offer, or a subscription that seems too easy to join, take a closer look. Companies spend millions designing these interfaces, and not always with your best interests at heart. The Amazon settlement proves that even the biggest names in business aren't above using tricks to keep you spending money, and it also proves that regulators are willing to step in when things go too far. At the end of the day, Amazon may still be the dominant force in online retail, but this $2.5 billion settlement is a crack in the armor. It shows that consumers matter, that transparency matters, and that no company, no matter how powerful, can operate without accountability forever. And as we watch the fallout unfold, from the customer payouts to the changes in Amazon systems, one thing is certain. The story of Prime will never look quite the same again.